Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy show. If you want to join our tribe, you must subscribe. And our tribe, our handles are on the YouTube channel. Yes, we have YouTube. It's the Women Are Worthy Network. The Women Are Worthy Network. Our Facebook and Instagram handles are the Women Are Worthy show. Now, I wanted to interview someone who not only has a corporate job, she's so involved in the community and she serves professionally. She basically professionally and personally, she's involved in the community. The Women Are Worthy show, we are honored to have the fabulous, the wonderful, the stupendous Christal Mcnair. Hello, Christal.
Hey, Jackie, how are you? Thank you for having me tonight.
Well, you were my dream, okay? So I'm so glad that we finally got you on the show. I want everyone to know Christal is the commercial relationship manager with Resident Bank. Did I say it right?
Renasant.
Renasant Bank. I said it earlier before.
You did.
Barely edit that part out, okay? And then put the right one in. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about what is a commercial relationship manager?
A commercial relationship manager is someone that really dives into a business and understands what the business does, but also what the owner's objectives are, learns more about short-term goals, long-term goals, and really develops a relationship to help a client meet those goals. And it could be a small business or it could be a medium-sized business. It's all different sizes. And as the relationship manager, you're managing the whole process from having a deposit account to having a loan, or if they're starting up, what they kind of need to do to help them meet those long-term and short-term goals. So we kind of get to know them almost better than they know themselves a lot of times.
What's an ideal client?
Ideal clients are someone who are very focused on what their business is. They're knowledgeable, and they have a business that they can grow. And also a client that's open to outside information. You know, there's partners that every business needs to have, and they have to kind of have an open mind to hear information. Some of it they may need, some of it may be something they need for the future, but you know, they want to be open-minded to what your relationship manager has to say. To me, that's the biggest thing, because you know, when a client's just, they think they know everything, you know, they just need to be open to hearing other information. And I've always thought, you know, if I get one nugget a day, then I'm getting somewhere. And that's what I like to see my clients do too. We learn from each other, but you know, just being very and also being transparent. Tell us everything, because that's how we can better help our clients. Of course, you know, if their business is making money, that helps. But then if they're not, let's have conversations. Be open-minded enough to have conversations about how do we get there.
Okay, well, I want to know more about you. How did you get into banking?
Oh my gosh, I've been in banking now for almost 28 years, and I started as a teller, and you know, was a 21-year-old needing to get a job, and so I worked my way up from being a teller in a branch and raising a daughter and getting married and having another daughter. One thing, it's funny, in some towns, the only way to get a banking job is if someone dies in that town. Once you get into banking, it's kind of in your blood. So you kind of stay in it. And so I've been lucky and blessed to have multiple jobs within the bank. And then trying to think, in 2008 became a commercial banker. And so it's been a fun ride and a long living career that can take you anywhere.
The pandemic, how did your bank had to pivot? How did you guys pivot during the pandemic?
Yeah, we made adjustments. Obviously, you know, the branches closed for a period of time and only opened the drive-through. So, and then appointments only to come inside with all of the COVID requirements in place. Relationship managers have the option to work remotely, which we've worked remotely because a lot of the things that we do are through emails and conversations over the phone. So the bank has taken not only COVID seriously for clients, but also for the employees. So it's really important that everyone stay safe. So they've made taken a lot of precautions. The banks are open now, so they can come in and there's a shield between them and whomever they're talking to. And then, of course, those that can work remotely, they are still being asked to work remotely to keep the cases down as much as possible.
So let's say we have several people that would love to, they're looking for a bank. Why should they bank with your bank?
Well, with Renasant Bank, we are a small community bank. We're one of the only banks I can say started out of Tupelo, Mississippi. So most banks start out, are in North Carolina but yeah, Tupelo, Mississippi, 190 something branches throughout our footprint. But it is all about relationships. It's not about tick marks. It's about getting to know your clients and understanding what their needs are and helping them develop that plan to meet the goals that they have in place.
Well, you have a fan. Allison said, this is what she said. She said that you're awesome. She gives so much back. That Allison, okay, Christal, sorry, we're talking about you, so just close your ears. Allison, I'm telling you, when I did my research, this woman is phenomenal. She gives a lot back, and I don't know how she does it. Okay, back to you, Christal, because it is your show. What do you do? What is it that you like to do? Because when I mean like to do, what is it about banking? Because it seems like when you're talking about it, there's a glitter in your eye, like, oh my God, you live and breathe. What is it about banking specifically that you really enjoy?
Well, it allows you to meet more people in the community, and it's about helping them reach their goals. And it allows me to reach my goals because some of the goals that I have are, helping reach more people, talk to more people, help them be successful. But it also allows me to give back to the community. So one of the biggest things when I look at a bank to work for is, what does their outreach look like? So what is it going to allow me to do? Is it going to stop me from going out and being a networker? Is it going to stop me from figuring out how I can go into nonprofits and help them grow their business, help them raise funds? So a lot of work goes into what does that bank do from a community outreach perspective. And that allows me to meet my goals all the way around. I'm helping the client grow their business, but I'm also helping the community be better. And so that's what I look for. And that's what excites me. Every bank that I've worked for has allowed me that opportunity to go out and work in the community. Otherwise, I would pass on that particular bank if they didn't have that option.
What do you do for self-care?
Well, I do exercise. I do stretch. I recently owned a business that was all focused on that. If I don't stretch and do exercises, pain will set in and stress will set in, joints get stiff, muscles get stiff. So I've got to do some of that. I try to go to get a massage at least once a month. I wish I could do it more often, but I just don't have the time all the time. But, I do things like that. My husband and I are very careful to make sure we get away and go get out of town a couple of days a month. We're getting ready to go to the beach for a couple of days just to unwind. But I've learned that I have to take care of myself because I have a family that I want to make sure I'm here to watch grow and everything. So we've got to do some of those things. Otherwise, you drive yourself crazy. You just can't do it all and not take care of yourself.
Tell me, I was living in Crazy Avenue for a while, and I decided to leave Crazy Avenue to move into permanently Sane Village. Okay, I decided to do that. So there's lots of young ladies that I mentor. Can we speak about how are you balancing life? Because while they're going to school, I'm helping them to balance. Because we start when they're young, when they get 30, 40, 50, 60, it won't be so hard because it would be ingrained in them while they're in the college years. So can you speak to balancing work life, professional life, you please speak to that?
Sure. It's not easy. It does take a plan. You have to be very deliberate, I would say, on your schedule every day. You know, some of the things that I've always looked at is when it comes to community service, making sure I don't overcommit. You know, finding where my passion is. When you're passionate about something, it doesn't always feel like work. So I would say, you know, do the work and do it well, but don't overextend yourself. You know, you really have to. I look back at my week sometimes and go, where could I have made up a little bit of time? You know, where could I get up a few minutes earlier, or gosh forbid, I try to stay up a little later. That's not my forte, but but I really use every minute. I'm lucky now. My children are older, so I don't have as many obligations, and so I feel that time with community service. But I do have to be very diligent every day with where I'm going to spend my time. And so I live and breathe by my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. So I think that's one of the greatest things you can do, even as a young person. Get used to scheduling out your day, because time can just get away from you. You and I were talking, and 15 minutes went away in no time. So you really have to use your time, but you also have to schedule me time, like we talked about self-care. It needs to be on the calendar just like everything else. I preach schedule your exercise, schedule your massages, schedule your downtime, and always schedule time to learn more also. But to me, it's all about a calendar and really living by it. Otherwise, I would not be able to accomplish a lot of things that I do if I didn't have it on the calendar.
Why do you think it's important that women support each other?
Well, we have to lift each other up. You just can't. You have to be able to recognize something great in everyone, but you also have to express it. I think sometimes women want to try to go, I'm better than that, or that's not good enough, or be very critical, but I think you can be critical, but you can lift them up at the same time and say, hey, that was a great speech, but, maybe next time don't say as much. But we have to help them. We have to help each other continue to grow as women, because one of the things that we have not always been able to do is be in the corporate world and climb the corporate ladder. So if we're not lifting each other up and patting each other on the back, it can be lonely sometimes, especially when you work in predominantly male facilities, or where you're the outlier. So we have to lift each other up. We have to encourage each other to push further, push harder, because all women can do anything that a man can do, another woman can do. But sometimes you have to work a little harder, and you have to encourage a little bit more. And there is nothing wrong with saying, Jackie, man, you are amazing. What can I learn from you today? What can you teach me? And hopefully we're always wanting to learn from each other. That's the greatest thing that we can all do, instead of being intimidated by each other.
And because I don't think of it as a competition. I think of it as we're basically collaborating. So I choose collaboration over competition, because like Allison, I'm going to be learning some new things from her, because I'm just like a sponge. I want to learn things, and the women that I've come in contact with, thank God for the Cobb Chamber, which is the best chamber in the United States.
Yes,
so, shameless plug, but it's the truth. Headed under Sharon Mason, plug, plug, plug. John Loud. Oh, I don't even want to talk about John Loud, because that. Why did I say that? I can't unsee it. I'm not focused anymore.
I know. I can't unsee his photo today.
God. But, Allison asked a question, thinking about your clients in the community, what types of challenges are you seeing, which is pandemic induced, that isn't getting a lot of airtime?
That's a great question. I think the interesting thing is some businesses are doing well. And I think there's some unsung heroes out there. They're not all businesses aren't doing terrible. they are adjusting and they are pivoting to maybe a new industry or a new line of business. So it's been interesting to watch businesses get creative on how to fill a void. Unfortunately, some businesses have closed, and a lot of them are saving their money. They are getting smarter. In '08 it happened, and now it's happened. How to do more with less. And so businesses are getting very nimble and are able to really do more with less. And it's pretty amazing to watch. As a commercial lender, I was very busy back in '08 doing a lot of loans. But this time, other than doing some of the PPP loans, lending hasn't been as a hot commodity right now because there's so many unknowns. But they are getting very creative, and it's very interesting to see. I mean, and some have had to close one business and open another in a totally different line of business. But it's the entrepreneurial spirit that says, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm going to push forward. And so that has been really interesting to watch these businesses push forward.
Push forward, and what I'm finding is so many new businesses being open during the pandemic. Entrepreneurs. So I'm real impressed by that. You mentioned the PPP loans. For those there are some businesses that I know or entrepreneurs are so intimidated by it. Can you briefly explain what it is, the PPP is, please?
Yeah, it's a loan that's being given that can be forgiven by the government. It's managed through the SBA and the Small Business Administration, and it's the Payment Protection Program. And it allows you to receive 2.5 times your annual payroll. So it would take 12 months, take all your annual payroll, divide it by 12, and then multiply it times 2.5. And these funds can be given to you and forgiven as long as they're used appropriately. 60% can go to payroll and 40% can go to other expenses that have just recently been expanded. And it's really important to the government that as many small businesses that can survive the pandemic do. And so this is the second round that we are entering this week for the payroll protection program. So it is money that can be forgiven. And it shouldn't be so overwhelming. I mean, I think if you talk to a banker, most of us are versed enough to kind of help walk you through the process. It gets very nerve-wracking when they see all the paperwork that they have to pull together. And it can be, because it depends on how you are structured, if you're a sole proprietor or not. But if you talk to a banker, they can help walk you through it. The SBA.gov has a lot of information about what you need, and they do a really good job spelling out those documents. The biggest challenge right now is the banks haven't opened their portals yet. They open the portals for the small business first, or the small banks first, and then the bigger banks will start this week. So don't let it intimidate you. It's pretty easy. You just have to kind of sit through it and let the banker help you decipher it.
Okay, so let's say, work with me here. The President of the United States reaches out. He was watching this show, and he says, I like that Christal. I like her. I'm going to, because she's involved in the community, what she does, I like what she stands for. I'm going to somehow free up $5 million. He speaks to the bank president, but it has to go. Christal has to be the one who's going to allocate the funds. You're in Cobb County, where you're situated. What would you do with that $5 million?
Well, I would really look at small businesses, and it's similar to what Select Cobb did recently. They were in that same boat. The county received funds, and you really have to go and look at the small businesses who really need the funds. One of the things that I think I would have done differently is when I say small businesses, I'm talking about sole proprietors,
Right.
not businesses that have 300 employees, because there's just different sources of funds available for different levels of business. So I would really want to look at the smaller businesses first, and almost flip it on its tail and do it backwards. So where if you have 1 to 10 employees, we're looking at your income first, and then go from that way, and then work my way up to the larger businesses. That's just my personal. That's just me personally, have coming from being a small business owner. Some of the small businesses felt like by the time it got to them, it was all over. Especially individuals who are contractors. They are on contract business. Those were probably the most impacted. And now you have contractors that were out of work because of COVID, and they didn't have that business to turn to. If you know what I mean, they were the last ones to be able to get funding. So I would like to see those independents be funded first as well. So that I think I would almost do it backwards.
Wow, that makes sense. Christal, where do you see yourself, let's say, and we're not going to do the 5 years, 3 years. The pandemic is over. You vacationed so many places with your husband. Where do you see yourself in 5 years in the banking industry? 3 years in the banking industry?
Well, I see us out of the pandemic, obviously, and I see myself doing more relationship building and more business building, and really helping the community grow. I love watching the economy grow in a community we love to live and play in. I want to see that continue. I see myself watching more business clients continue to prosper, and that's what I thrive on. I'm not at retirement age yet, but I hope to be getting closer to that, where I'm doing more on the community side. I really see being able to get out and do more in the community, more service, helping more nonprofits succeed. I love to lend to nonprofits. I love to work with them and really watch how they grow. And that's where I would see myself spending more time, is probably in the nonprofit and the community side. But educating people on what to do and how to get there. And then just kind of helping them achieve those long-term and short-term goals. I think one of the problems that we have is we forget our goals sometimes.
Right.
And mine is just to kind of, if I'm always doing what's right for the client, then we all succeed in the end. And so I try to just always make sure I'm doing what they feel is the most prosperous for them. I don't sell them things they don't need, and I don't try to force loans on them that they don't need. So I want to continue to be that kind of banker. And in 3 years, we'll see where we go from there. But that's my immediate goal, is to get out of the pandemic and make sure businesses continue to prosper.
Okay, 2 questions in one. What 2 books are you reading, and what 2 books would you recommend? Separate books. They have to be separate.
Oh my gosh, I just finished reading Green Light by Matthew McConaughey. And I
love him. I love him.
His book is very good. It's called Green Light, and it's very good. So I just finished that, and I'm reading, and I'm doing audio books so I can do something else at the same time. And I'm actually listening now to a book. I'm trying to see what it's called. It's Never Broken by Jewel. And it's her.
The singer Jewel? The singer?
The singer Jewel, okay. Yes. And so I've been listening to that. And it's very interesting to listen to how individuals go through the tough times and still succeed. And I think that's kind of what draws me to these books. And so those are the ones I'm reading now. Now there's one I just heard about today that's called, actually, I'll try to see if I can find it, that a friend of mine's group just finished reading. It's called Slight Edge.
Slight Edge. Okay. What is it about?
and it's about how you get customers and keep customers coming back and doing. So I'm excited about it. It's not available on audio. I already looked, but that's one book that I want to read. And you said you wanted to know another book I want to read. I don't know. That's just the one that comes to mind right now.
Because you're reading two books, and what two books would you recommend that we read? That
That I recommend. I will tell you. I don't know if you. I would say any of Jeffrey Gittermore's books. If you're into sales, I'm a salesperson, and I would say the Little Red Book is amazing. The No Excuses by Jeffrey Gittermore is very good because it is about not making excuses. Get out there. You got to make the calls. You got to do the work. Really focus. And so those are a couple that I've read, and I've reread them because I think they're very good. So yeah.
So if someone wants to contact you because they saw the show, they want to ask additional questions before banking with you, how can they get in contact with your bank or you?
Yeah, they can. The best way to get a hold of me is through my email, and it's Christal, and it's CHRISTAL .Mcnair MCNAIR at Renasant RENASANT.com. I have to stop and think when I say it out loud.
I saw that because I'm typing it and I saw that.
I know it's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you email me, we can schedule a time to chat and discuss whatever the current situation is.
Well, it's just been a pleasure speaking with you. You were a business owner, you're still an entrepreneur, and you're using those skills into what you're doing, which is so good. And most bankers that I've been interviewing, it's either their father, their mothers were bankers, particularly their fathers, great grandfathers. So it's so good to see that you started off as a teller, so you know what it's like. So I'm loving that. So you've experienced and it just shows you. I don't care what anyone says. In this country, if you work hard, and of course, if you have a supportive, because you started off as a teller, now look at where you're at, so you just have to work hard. You have to support yourself with positive women, positive people, create a tribe, and educate yourself, go out, find mentors, and just do the research. I think it's just, I just love what you're doing. And the fact that, as Allison said, that you're always, you're doing amazing things in the community with your clients. So, knowing her, that's a high praise, knowing Allison saying that.
Well, I appreciate that. But, I would say, I'll say this, Jackie, I didn't graduate I didn't graduate college. I did go to fashion school, but I will tell you, educate yourself, get your degree. I tell my daughters this all the time: go to college, get your degree. You work hard, but you work harder on the front end. I've had to work hard and jump through hoops and do all kinds of things throughout my career. And I'm very blessed to be where I am today and be able to say that I worked myself through the ranks. But when I say I worked through the ranks, I literally worked through the ranks of every position in the bank. And it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of years to get where I'm at. So I just want to say to the females that may be watching, go out there and educate yourself. Allison's got like 15 degrees. So,
yes. Oh my God. Yes, she does.
School soon, but really work hard. But the one thing I also want to say is, when you choose community service, really find where your passion is. You can get caught up in wanting to be everything to everyone, and unfortunately we can't, because what happens is, if you are looking at 5 different things you want to participate in and your time is split, and this is one of probably an answer to one of your questions when you talk about time management. If I had to split my time between 5 nonprofits, I don't think that's possible to give all 5 100%. So if I choose two, I can give them 100%. But if I choose five, I can probably only give 20% to each one. And so that really doesn't do that nonprofit any good. So one of the best pieces of advice that I could ever have gotten was choose the nonprofits that you're the most passionate about and try to focus on one project at a time. Because if you try to focus on all of them, you just don't do them enough service. So really hone in on what you're passionate about and it relates to you. Don't do it for a resume marker.
Right. What I like to leave my audience with a gem from the guest. What gem or what takeaway before we close the show would you like to leave the audience with?
I would really like to not for everyone to not make excuses and not lay blame. It is no, we can all blame our ratings, we can all blame where we come from. It is up to us as individuals to do better and more and give back in the community. So I would just say work hard, don't make excuses, get the job done. You can do anything you put your mind to. You just have to work at it.
And I agree with Allison. She said, "Thank you, Christal, for your dedication to the community. You do a lot and you put your heart and soul into it." And, I
Thank
agree
you.
with her. So we just want to, because right now I'm at the point, I left a job, I was training doctors, just didn't find it fulfilling anymore. But I just want to be able to give people their roses while they're alive. And that's why I created this show, because we have so many women, we have celebrities and we have other caliber of women and men who they're constantly, the media is constantly shining a spotlight on. But I think there's other people that are doing amazing things. Like my interns, when I ask them, well, who do you like? And they're, who mentors you, or who would you like to have mentor you? And they're telling me Beyonce and Jay-Z, or they'll mention Lady Gaga and all those people. I'm like, wait a minute, stop the press. Do you know we have those same like people in our community? Meaning they're doing so much. We're not talking about what they do for a living, because these people are great, philanthropists, but there's people that are doing things right in your community, right in your county, right in your city, maybe next door. You may have a stay-at-home mom. You may think she's not doing much. She's taking care of those kids and, taking care of the kids and making sure her husband, that when he comes home, making it a great environment for him, because being a stay-at-home mom is a lot of work. So, that's why I created this platform, so we can motivate, and empower women, and really, really motivate souls. So I just want women to understand that we're all doing dynamic things. Well, the positive ones anyway. I've never ran into a negative one really, because I'm allergic to negativity. So I just want women to understand that you have to find your tribe. Let's start supporting each other. We're doing it, but let's do more of it. Let's not just talk it, let's do it. Because we have the younger generation, they're watching us.
Yes.
They're watching what we're doing. So I think it's so important that we support someone, and if they're doing a great job, because we're so quick to complain, we're not as swift to compliment. And I'm all about complimenting instead of complaining, or constructive criticism. If someone's doing good, just don't take it for granted that they know. Go over, pick up the phone and tell them you're doing great work, because you don't know what's going on within them. And that, because, as women, sometimes we overthink things, so we want, our sisters, our tribe to know that we're doing good things. So,
And don't just call them and tell them how good of a job they're doing. Call them and ask them how they did it. Don't be afraid to call, Jackie and say, "Hey, Jackie, how did you go and start doing live streams?" I mean, I think that's pretty impressive, and you have to be willing to learn from each other.
Yes, learn from each other. You have to develop that confidence, because some days things are not going well, and then you can talk to someone like I spoke with you today, which did help lift my spirits because of what we're going through right now. So it's important that we should be transparent and just create a sisterhood. And I'm telling you, I'll say it over and over again, Cobb Chamber has blessed me in so many ways by finding more sisters with our women luncheon. just so many things that I am so grateful. I'm meeting Allison and I'm just so grateful. So, and if you're in Cobb County, here's another shameful plug, okay? Well, it's not shameful. If you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, you must come to the chamber. You may be a part of all the associations, but this is the best one. I am not saying the rest are not great or good, but Cobb County is the best. Cobb County Chamber. Come on down, go on the website, sign up to be a part of the chamber. I promise you, you won't regret it. You know, you may think, well, there's so many people in the chamber, you're going to get lost. I wasn't lost. I mean, you guys know I love to talk, and I'll introduce myself to people. But I promise you, there's so many amazing people. We're all about diversity. We're all about, have a seat. So we're open to listening to what everyone has to say, and we're here to help you. And I'm just so proud to be a part of another village. I'm adopted in another village with the Cobb Chamber. Well, Christal, thank you for being such an awesome, awesome sauce guest.
Thank
We really appreciate you're doing, again, we want to thank you for doing what you're doing. Noreen said, you are doing a wonderful job bringing people together, Jacqueline. Thank you.
you. You're
Look, I
doing
don't
good
have my
stuff.
glasses on, so I won't cry. Thank you very much, Miss Whitehead. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But again, we want to thank everyone. Please share the post, share the show. Thursday, we're going to have, hold on, we're going to have Dawn Robinson from In Vogue. She's going to be on our show. That was my favorite group back then. So she's going to be on our show at 4:30. We're going to post the page. But again, Christal, thank you for taking time, out of your busy schedule, for sharing with me, fellowshipping with us. We really appreciate you. So without further ado, bye everyone.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
You're